Just outside Marysville, parallel to a dark stretch of dense, overgrown woods, lies an old section of railroad tracks. Locals intentionally avoid these old railroad tracks after midnight for over 50 years. Conductors, track maintenance workers, and late-night drivers reported chilling, inexplicable anomalies along these isolated rails. They speak of phantom lantern lights moving against legitimate traffic, distress whistles echoing sharply when no trains are scheduled, and silent, shadowy figures walking down the gravel beds. Shadowy figures vanish into thin air, the exact millisecond a headlight hits them. What most outsiders write off as simple urban folklore or overactive imaginations is actually backed by official police reports, archived newspaper records, and a series of baffling missing persons cases that shook the town to its core. Tonight, we uncover the chilling history and unsolved evidence behind the Marysville Railroad mystery. To understand the true mystery of the Marysville rails, you have to go back to a freezing night in November 1968. A heavy freight train hauling iron ore was barreling through the Marysville Junction around 2 a.m. A local night shift worker, 24-year-old Thomas Miller, was walking home along the gravel path beside the tracks after completing his shift. According to the engineer, a dense, unnatural fog suddenly rolled out from the pine forest, cutting visibility on the tracks to near zero in seconds. Moments later, the engineer slammed on the emergency brakes in panic after seeing a human figure standing completely frozen between the iron rails, facing the oncoming engine head-on. Despite the deafening screech of crushing metal on metal and the blaring warning horn echoing through the dark valley, the person didn't make a single movement to step aside. It took over half a mile for that massive freight train to come to a complete grinding stop on the icy steel rails. The shaken conductor and engineer rushed back through the pitch-black darkness with lantern lights, fully expecting to confront a tragic accident scene. They searched every single inch of the track bed, scanning the sharp gravel, the heavy steel wheels, and the thick mud near the surrounding tree line for any sign of a victim. But there was absolutely nothing there. No debris, no torn fabric, no blood, and no physical trace of Thomas Miller ever being struck or even standing on the rails. When local police investigated his home later that morning, hoping to find him safe, they were met with a terrifying scene. His dinner was still warm on the table, his heavy jacket rested on a chair, and his front door was standing wide open. Only weeks after Thomas Miller vanished without a single trace, the strange reports officially began. The strange reports officially began flooding the train dispatch offices. Freight conductors passing through Marysville during late-night shifts started filing formal logs. They filed formal logs about seeing a lonely man standing near signal box 14. He was always described the exact same way by different crews who had never spoken to each other. He was dressed in a faded 1960s work jacket, staring motionless at the oncoming headlights. He was staring motionless at the oncoming headlights with a blank, expressionless face. Whenever conductors blew the loud warning horn to clear the track, the figure wouldn't flinch. He wouldn't flinch, blink, or attempt to run from the approaching train. As the train approached within 50 feet, the figure wouldn't get hit. It would simply dissolve into the night fog like smoke as the train approached. The sightings became so frequent that train companies began rotating shaken crew members. Decades passed, and the story slowly turned into a forgotten town legend told around campfires, until October 1994, two local high school seniors decided to test the urban myth by walking the Marysville tracks around midnight, armed with a heavy handheld VHS camcorder. They were recording their steps, laughing and joking about the old ghost stories to brave the overwhelming darkness of the woods. Around 12:30 a.m., their audio recording was suddenly hit with intense electromagnetic static that drowned out their voices. The camera lens caught a glowing, pale yellow lantern light appearing far down the dark tracks where no signals or houses existed. One of the teens, Marcus, stepped forward toward the mysterious light to investigate, despite his friend's warnings. That single decision was the absolute last time Marcus was ever seen alive. State police recovered the camcorder hours later from the sharp gravel. Marcus's panicked friend had dropped it while running for his life to call 911. The tape was taken directly to forensic state investigators for thorough analysis. The recovered footage showed Marcus walking steadily toward the floating light, calling out. Suddenly, a deafening horn sounded on the tape's microphone, a distinct, booming sound. The sound matched an early steam engine. Even though only modern diesel trains operated, the video feed violently cut to red static for 3 terrifying seconds. When the clear picture returned, Marcus had completely vanished from the frame. The mysterious lantern light was also gone. Search dogs tracked his scent. They tracked his scent directly to Signal Box 14, completing the investigation. Following the tragic 1994 incident, amateur radio operators and local researchers began monitoring. They monitored shortwave radio frequencies around the Marysville line. What they discovered shocked the radio community. They picked up bizarre broadcast interruptions. These interruptions were overriding emergency channels late at night. Every single evening at precisely 2:15 a.m., the exact recorded time Thomas Miller disappeared. Thomas Miller disappeared back in 1968. Radio receivers within a 2-mile radius. The radio receivers near the tracks picked up a low-frequency electrical pulse mixed with high-pitched, distorted Morse code. When translated by experienced ham radio operators, the repeating code spelled out 3 simple, chilling words. The words were repeated over and over, still on track. Local authorities tried repeatedly to trace the broadcast source using direction-finding equipment, but the signal originated from no known tower. The mystery deepened even further when railway maintenance crews began logging phantom train events. Automated pressure sensors built into the steel tracks would frequently trigger at night, alerting dispatchers that a heavy freight train was passing through a specific block of track. Yet, night shift dispatchers looking at live satellite GPS logs and scheduling screens saw 0 trains. Emergency repair crews were dispatched to check for short circuits or faulty wiring. They found the steel rails ice cold to the touch, yet the gravel ground was vibrating, as if tons of rolling steel had just passed over the iron bars seconds prior. Today, crime analysts, geologists, and researchers offer 3 distinct theories regarding the anomalous occurrences along the Marysville rails. Theory 1, acoustic memory. A rare geological phenomenon where iron-rich quartz rocks and dense woods absorb, record, and play back traumatic past sonic energy and light events under specific weather conditions. Theory 2, calculated staged crimes. Local criminals took advantage of the terrifying urban legend of the haunted tracks to commit foul play, using the location to eliminate victims and dispose of evidence. Or Theory 3, a localized spatial anomaly, a temporal tear along the old rail line where time and geography briefly overlap during high magnetic fluctuations, trapping anyone who steps onto the steel rails at the wrong moment forever. To this day, bright red warnings line the perimeter fence, the old Marysville Railroad tracks strictly prohibiting trespassing after dark under penalty of law. The cold cases of Thomas Miller and Marcus remain active missing persons investigations. 0 physical remains or personnel items ever recovered by law enforcement. Local elders still pass down a grim warning to anyone moving to the area. If you ever find yourself driving near Marysville late at night and you hear a distant, booming train whistle when the tracks ahead are completely clear, do not stop your car, do not look out into the woods, and keep moving forward. What do you think is really happening on the Marysville rails? Drop your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more real unsolved mysteries.